What's up? I'm Sharif Ali, and I'm coming at you redoing a video that I had previously made because people were complaining about the language, and but it's all good. I don't know. So anyway, I'm here because I want to clear up once and for all why people that look like me, okay, and darker are the indigenous Americans, the Native Americans. Okay, and I'm also going to clear up why the people erroneously referred to as African Americans are also Moors. Why we're Moors? Why we're the Moors in America? Moorsinamerica.com. It's the site. Sharif Ali. I'm the administrator, creator, and has nothing to do really with Islam or present day Morocco, even though there is an element like that in there. Okay, and originally I was responding to some stuff on Facebook, and I realized, like, yeah, a lot of people need to hear this, right? Because there were some people going back and forth on this post, and this one guy was saying, like, only 7 to 12% of the black Americans are actually descendant of North American Moors. And he said most people were brought here on slave ships, and just saying that, like, you had this element of people who came here from Africa, they got enslaved, and that's where the whole Moorish American thing came from. And I had to join in on that conversation because someone else had also commented saying, yeah, Moors were the ones enslaving all the black people, and the Moors, are the enemy. Why are all these people trying to claim Moors and they're the enemy? So basically what my argument was, or what I was saying was basically that you have a Moorish element here that actually came from Africa, or came from Portugal and Spain, came from like Southern Europe, Northern Africa, right? And if you actually look in history, there are documents referring to the Nanticoke Moors. This was a Native American tribe, like the Lenape Indians, okay, who were referred to as Moors. There were even Moorish Indian schools. This is real, this is documented. Several states had Moorish Indian schools, okay? And there were people who were of mixed descent. They were of the Moors from Europe and from Northern Africa who came and mixed in with the Native American tribes. Okay, and this is documented history. I'm not making this up. You can look this stuff up for yourself if you don't believe me. You can even just look up Nanticoke Moors or look up Moorish Indian schools. Okay, so basically you did have that element where people actually came here from Southern Europe, Northern Africa, and mixed in with the Native Americans, right? But there's another element to that most people are unaware of, and I need to let you all know, okay? Educated Europeans of the past referred to Native Americans on many occasions, and I know we're indigenous Americans, but if you're smart, you know who I'm talking about when I say Native Americans. So on many occasions they referred to them as Moors, Indians, and Negroes, and they did this interchangeably, okay? Meaning they just say Negroes one time, then they'll say Indians, then they'll say Moors, and they're always referring to the indigenous Americans each and every time. And they use these words interchangeably, right? And they weren't stupid for doing this, okay? If you actually look at history, like in a bigger scope, if you take a look back, you'll realize that Europeans weren't even allowed to come to the Americas until the Moorish Empire fell in 1492, right? This isn't a coincidence that they tell you that's when Columbus sailed the ocean blue and all this mess, right? He wasn't looking for a route to Asia. That's just the fairy tale that they teach you. The Christian Europeans inherited the knowledge and wisdom of the Moors when their last stronghold fell in Granada, Spain. Okay, in several occasions, as I was saying earlier, you have educated Europeans who referred to Indians, Moors, Negroes, same people. They were talking about the indigenous Americans, and they call them Moors. William Penn, who, if you know anything about the history of Pennsylvania, he was the founder of Pennsylvania, right? So this wasn't just some regular nobody. William Penn called the Indians Moors. And here's a quote from Ancient and Modern Britons by David McRitchie. William Penn said, in 1681, the Indians of New England, or Moors as they were also styled by the settlers, were pronounced to be as black as gypsies. Okay, William Penn also describes the Lenape Indians of Pennsylvania as Moors. In 1676, the native races of New England were spoken of indifferently as Indians, Moors, and Moors, and our British Indians are also remembered as Moors. Okay, so they're saying, like he's saying that like the Native Americans here were called Indians and they were also called Moors. He was saying that the people of Pennsylvania were calling the Indians Moors. Okay, but there's more on that because they were also calling them Negroes. All right. Okay, so the transatlantic slave trade was greatly exaggerated. I'm not saying that it didn't take place, because I've been to other countries before and I've seen the catacombs where the slaves were kept. And even though I don't personally know anyone, I didn't grow up with anyone with direct, roots to Africa that could trace themselves to that. I know there's some people who have made this claim before. And you did have actual slave ships. Some people were brought over, but the numbers are exaggerated, extremely exaggerated. So the real deal about slavery was the internal slave trade, okay? The internal slave trades, when, like if you've seen the movie, what was that movie? 12 Years a Slave, where the guy, he's a free person of color. He's got a family, he's educated, plays the violin and all this stuff. He gets kidnapped, they tell him that they have a gig for him. He goes there, they drug him, sell him into slavery. He gets sold to Louisiana, and he even witnesses a woman's children getting taken away from her and sold off to someone else. So this is how it happened. And like by the time you get to that second generation of people being told they came from Africa, came from here and there, nobody knows who they are anymore. And this is how come to this day you have a whole bunch of quote unquote African Americans. Okay, I'm a Moorish American, that's why I'm using that. So you got a bunch of Moorish Americans who have grandparents who are Native American. You got aunts and uncles. I'm sure somebody out there can relate to that. My great grandfather, Blackfoot Indian. Shout out to Jab Cox, Lloyd Cox, Blackfoot Indians. And I know a lot of people have heard this stuff too, right? So we all have this Native American link, and there's a break in the pass down of the knowledge because of slavery and because of all the things they went through, because we didn't all get enslaved. There's plenty of black people who haven't, there's plenty of us who haven't been enslaved. You have whole groups of thousands of people who would just change their status from Indian to Negro just by one pass of legislation. This happened all over the place. It happened in Virginia. You can look this up. You can even just type some of these terms in on Google and get more information for yourself. I'm not making any of this up. So you have like thousands of people who were classified as Indians on the census and stuff. All of a sudden, there's laws on paper that said anyone with any Negro blood is a Negro, even if you are obviously an Indian. Okay, so this happened, and this took place over like 100 years. And like I said, once you get to the second generation, it's over. So this happened all over the country, man. Whole suites of people being classified as Negro, and they were making it hard as hell on people who were trying to keep that Indian status, who were like us. Okay, so they made it real difficult on them. So it's really hard to keep your status, and that also affected the breakdown, the pass down of the knowledge. Okay, and then on top of that, you had people who had gotten enslaved and whose children got sold off and told they came from Africa. So you had a whole lot of confusion going on, and that's how come you still to this day have some black people, who know they're Native Americans. Everybody didn't forget. Everybody didn't buy that bull. You got whole tribes in Louisiana, the whole Mardi Gras thing. All the Mardi Gras Indians are like us, and they're not just doing it for Mardi Gras. These are real tribes like the Washita that can trace their lineage back thousands and thousands of years. I mean, some of them are saying even further back than that. I mean, more than thousands. So like, you have people who know who they are. It's rare because of the attack. And there was a switcheroo that went on to make the Native Americans get lighter and lighter. And I'm not saying that all Native Americans were black people. You have people who crossed over the Bering Strait also, who were more what you would consider Mongolian. I don't even know if that term is politically correct, but you do have that too. And you had the people who were mixed, because you had that Mongolian stock that mixed with the black Native Americans as well, black Indians. Okay, I'm gonna just say black Indians, but we're talking about Moors, Moorish Americans. So on one aspect, you had people from the continent of Africa who came over here as merchants and who were trading and who were Islamic and Moors, and some of them set up shop here. You had people who later on, when the European conquest came, some of them were Moors, and they were sailors. Matter of fact, Columbus couldn't even have gotten here if it wasn't for the Nino brothers. They owned like 2 or 3 ships, right? Pedro, Alonso, Nino. So the Nino brothers came over here, and these were Moors from Europe, okay? And so you had that element too that came over here. And in a lot of cases, people who came over here, whether they were enslaved or whatever or not, they mixed in with the Indian tribes. Why? Because they could, because they looked just like the people. It was easy for them to blend in. So you have that whole element, but the people here were already Moors, and I'm gonna get into that even more, okay? So in some cases, like in what I'm talking about, the term Moor doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the religion Islam. I'm not taking that completely out of play, but I'm just saying you had people who were here who were called Moors, okay? And on one aspect, you have Europeans had just gotten through dealing with Moors for like 800 years in Europe. Okay, they ruled from 711 to 1492. So obviously, when they see a black person or a blackish person, a brown-skinned person, they're gonna be like, oh, that's a Moor, right? Okay, so you have that element. Anytime they encounter people who look like us, it doesn't matter if they're in the Philippines or if they're here, okay? They're gonna think, oh, that's a Moor from their perspective, okay? Because they didn't even know the globe, the earth was a globe spinning through space and going around the sun and all this stuff. They learned all this from the Moors, okay? They weren't even allowed to go anywhere because the entire planet was ruled by us. And that might sound crazy, but I'll get into that. So the learned, okay, the educated Europeans who were referring to the Native Americans, the indigenous Americans as Indians, Moors, and Negroes, they weren't ignorant for doing this. They inherited the knowledge on how to conduct civilization through the Moors. They found pyramids all over the globe, even in Antarctica, right? Technically, anyone who had pyramid building civilization technology, people who could conduct civilization and do this, technically anyone who could build pyramids that were aligned with the stars and all this stuff had knowledge from the ancient mystery schools, okay? The ancient mystery schools were set up to keep the knowledge on the planet as our people started to go into a cocoon stasis, started to lose, as our DNA started to go from 12 strands down to 2. We had to keep the knowledge on the planet. It went into the ancient mystery schools. Who were the caretakers of the ancient mystery schools? The Moors. That's it. The Moors. Okay, so when they found pyramids, you're dealing with Moors. It doesn't matter if it's Cahokia, and it's in like Missouri. It doesn't matter if it's the Miamisburg Pyramid here in Ohio, the Serpent Mounds. It doesn't matter. There's pyramids all over North America, of course Central America, you know, South America too. It doesn't matter where you're at. You're encountering these types of people. These are the remnants of the Moors. Okay, we fell, not being conquered. We fell ourselves because our DNA went down, right? Okay, so anytime you find these, which they found all over the Americas, you're dealing with Moors. Ancient mystery schools. Masonry is a watered down version of the ancient mystery schools, right? So as our DNA started to go down, we had to come up with something to keep the knowledge on the planet, to keep civilization going, so we don't have to start all the way over from square one when we're ready to take it back, which we're starting to be. I'm ready, and our people are waking up, so we're starting to en masse be ready to rule like we're supposed to. Okay, so we had to keep the knowledge on the planet, and Masonry was put here so that as we dumb down and go into the status that we've been in for a minute, there's still some people left to run it. The youngest people on the planet were the people of European descent. This ain't even knocking nobody. It's just being real. So we had to give them something. They were given 33 degrees of knowledge, right? 33 instead of 360 or 720, okay? 33 degrees of knowledge, and you're able to rule the entire world. All right, so it had to be given, because a lot of people are still gonna be like, well, the Moors, they're the enemy. See, why they teach them? Why are you teaching the caveman? They're saying all this stupid mess. It's like, dude, you're falling down lower than the caveman. Do you want to be under the caveman? Do you want to be all of us having to live in caves and none of us having language and all that stuff anymore? No, of course not. We need to keep civilization going. I don't want to start from square one. And we're not starting from square one, so we had to keep the knowledge here. And once again, I ain't saying that to knock anyone, it's just being real. We kept the knowledge and the information on the planet. A certain amount of it was put into a watered down version of the masonry schools, Masonry. It was given to people to keep it here so that we can take it back. And this is true, and I'll prove it. Okay, a pyramid was found in Ecuador, right? An actual pyramid that looks just like the pyramid on the dollar. I don't even have any ones. The pyramid on the dollar with the brick showing and the Eye of Horus at the top, right? There's one found in Ecuador that glows under a black light. And
this is the so-called pyramid with the shining eye. Even Jim used it for his new bestseller. So it means it is a very, very famous, but also very, very old symbol. And this is the only existing really pyramid with the eye. It has exactly 13 steps, like the pyramid on the $1.
then when you look at the bottom of it, it's got an ancient form of writing on it that's actually been found all over the globe. Okay, you've got people, a few people who can actually translate it, and they're like, look, this language is more ancient than ancient Phoenician. This is more ancient than Sumerian, all of that stuff, right? And there's a few people who could translate this stuff, and they know that the glyphs that have been found on this pyramid and in other places, including the United States, Europe, Africa, that this language is the same. So there was an ancient worldwide civilization, and that's what I'm telling you. Like, a lot of what I'm getting to is on the fringes. You know, you'll be like, well, that's not proof, you know, because you need academia to validate it for you, and they'll never do that. Harvard isn't going to validate this. They can't. The Smithsonian will not validate this. The Smithsonian has proof of this, and they keep it in their vaults. It's hidden in the basement under everything, and you'll not be able to see it, and they won't talk about it. So that's what I'm saying. This is the stuff that's on the fringes, but it's true. There was an ancient worldwide civilization, and there's even proof of it. And there's some people, like the guy that's on the video that you're about to see a clip of, who are finding this, and they're like, why isn't this being taught? And they're Europeans, they're people of all races who want the truth to get out, because they know it's holding everybody back. We all have to go off these lies that Columbus discovered America and they thought the world was flat, and you know, all of these lies, we have to go off of all of that, and that keeps everybody down. So what I'm saying is about liberating all the minds, everybody, regardless of whether you look like me or not. It's about liberating everyone, because at the end of the day, I'm a Moor, and we're here to uplift fallen humanity. So it's all about, you know, taking the lies, removing the veil.
The strange thing with this one and other artifacts found in Ecuador, that if you put black light on it, the eye shines really very, very strong. And the natural color is kind of light green and gray. And the most impressing for me was that on the bottom of the pyramid, you have here in gold inlays the Orion constellation and an unknown writing. This unknown writing we found on stones all over the world. In Ecuador, in Colombia, in Illinois, in Gloucester, France, in Calabria, Italy, in Turkmenistan, in Malta, and Rex Gilroy has some pictures on his website, and I found out that some of the stones he shows with unknown writing presents the same writing. That means there must have existed a global civilization long, long time ago. And there was only one man able to translate this language, Professor Kurt Schildmann. He was the president of the German Linguistic Association. He spoke and wrote more than 40 languages perfect, and he could translate this writing, and he called it pre-Sanskrit because it's older than the oldest writing. And the translation of these 4 letters on the bottom of the pyramid was, "The Son of the Creator comes." And when an American professor with his Tuareg friend from Northern Africa, Tuareg, was watching this picture on a Project Camelot interview. He was contacting me, and he was informing me that his Tuareg friend was shocked when he saw this writing, because he said it looks like our former writing, and one sentence he could translate, that was son. And the Tuaregs are on the research of Professor Marcelo May. He was a famous French archaeologist, and he was writing a book, and he was writing that the Tuaregs, on his research, had a connection to the sunken continent Atlantis. And even if you read the Bible, there is the sentence, until the building of the Tower of Babel, the whole humans spoke one language. And we found definitely stones with the same writing all over the world on different continents. And for example, the stones from Glocel, France, they were found already in 1924. So who could have been able to make stones before 1924 and bring them from South America to North America, even to Australia, in the hope that one day archaeologists find it and they break their brain, what could it be?
Okay, so yes, there was an ancient worldwide civilization. And yes, Moors were already here. We were the caretakers of the knowledge, and that's why we have pyramids here, as well as there, and in Japan and everywhere else. Okay? And so yes, when William Penn and others discussed the people here as being Negroes and Indians and Moors, okay, they were saying this because these were Masons who knew who they were dealing with. All right? And so, Moors had satellite civilizations set up all across the globe long before Europeans came across the Atlantic. Okay? And maybe this is too much information for some people, but that's how come anytime Europeans encountered pyramid building civilizations, they called them Moors. That's why, from their perspective, these are Moors, because they knew about the mystery schools, and that's the last civilization that had ancient knowledge and traveled the globe freely. Okay, so you look at that video clip and tell me that I'm making this up. All right, and then the pyramid found in Ecuador has the Eye of Horus on it. It looks just like the eye on a dollar. That lets you know that even the United States and all of these other countries are based off of this information. They know this. They know this. I'm not the only one who knows this, okay? It's a secret. The biggest secret in many cases is who you are, you not knowing it. You thinking that you're African American, which is two different continents, you know? You calling yourself this, calling yourself black, anything is... It's a big secret, and you're supposed to be confused. You know, you're not supposed to be, but there's people that want you to stay like that so that you can't step up and do what you're really supposed to do. Okay? It's another reason why a lot of people like us are like blasé about stuff. You don't really care, feel like you're supposed to fight and do what you're supposed to do to secure your family, to make sure that everyone is safe and protected. That's how come people are getting gunned down in the streets. There's no repercussions for it. You know, we don't. You know, a lot of us don't feel like, hey, this is our country, we should fight for it and protect it. Okay, but it is. All of this is ours. So I just wanted to share that, because what I'm talking about is way bigger than slavery and all the other stuff people were saying. People were talking about the Moors enslaved and all that stuff. It's just like beyond that. You know, I mean, there's groups called African Americans Ain't African, and it's cool because they're letting people know that people that look like us are for the most part the real Native Americans, right? And when I say that, that's no diss to the people of the Mongolian stock, but it's just letting people know because we're the secret, and that's cool. But they also, a lot of those people on that, the Moors enslaved us, and they don't even know what I know. And you guys need to know this and spread it and get the word out. This needs to go viral because it's bigger than religion, it's bigger than slavery, and this is the secret, and this is how it's connected. Okay? So you have the ancient worldwide civilizations, and you have the link to the Moors. We were the knowledge holders. We kept it alive, and that's how come Egyptian artifacts are found in Ecuador, you know, with black lights. You know, this shine under a black light and all this stuff. And it's the same stuff that thousands of years later gets put on the dollar. Okay? You're the biggest secret. You're the biggest secret in the world, okay? So, you know, I'm not coming with any pseudo knowledge or anything like that. But what I did say is on the fringes, only because it's not accepted by mainstream academia. There's a lot of smart people who are lighter skinned than me, that speak German and all these other languages, that are studying this, and they know it's true. And if you don't know it's true, you're under the veil. You need to wake up. It's real, okay? That's it. Go to the website, moorsinamerica.com, bookmark it, share it with everybody you know, because this is the most important information in the world. And also, you need to download my meditation. It's an MP3, only 22 minutes. Everybody's got 22 minutes to meditate and go within. Check out moorsinamerica.com and subscribe to the YouTube. Peace.
Wait. Hold on, come back. Okay. Stop. Stop. There's a glitch in the matrix. We're starting to see through the deja vu. We're starting to feel the ripples of time. You know, the whole Mandela effect's coming through. And those of us who's awakened, the 144,000 of us, that's just observing and seeing. We're awake and we're alive and we're feeling everything happening. And we're ready for change. And change is here because we're here. Peace.